It's going here. So I'd like to call this meeting to order. Welcome to this month's ASCE luncheon. My name is Kat Lauer, and I'm your ASCE president this year. Thanksgiving is already next week, and as we think about family, food, and the return of some fun UTA and football traditions, I'd like to just reflect on some things we have to be thankful for. The Austin branch is working really hard this year to provide some really wonderful programs. I just want to highlight a few while we get started here. We are currently taking collections for the ASCE Disaster Relief Fund. As you look around, you might see these little boxes on the tables. Those are to raise money for hurricane relief efforts, as we've seen a lot of disastrous occurrences happening across the country now. And ASCE will actually match dollar for dollar up to $1,000 of donations that you make here at the branch. So I encourage you, even if you don't have cash, we'll have some electronic ways that you can make those donations. And we have a couple of like fun things. As you look around, you'll kind of see some QR codes on the tables. A few weeks ago, we wrapped up our Mobile Loaves and Fishes event at Community First Village. That was led by Ryan Glenn, who's also leading this ASCE disaster relief effort. And so I really want to thank him for doing such a great job organizing that and getting our name out there, volunteering in the community. We are also looking for volunteers for our upcoming volunteer event at Keeling Middle School. Every year we do an engineering blitz with middle schoolers over there and do projects with them that have to do with engineering, STEM, and just really get to work with the kids and work with the community. And that's coming up on December 2nd and 3rd. So I encourage everyone to get involved in that. And we'll hear a little bit more about it here soon. I want to close out by saying it's really wonderful to see such a great turnout. We've had this topic before, and it's really nice to see some familiar faces and some new faces. So with that, I'm going to bring over our past president, Tyler. And we have a couple of past presidents here today, including Sam and Paul, if y'all could come up too. All right. Can I get this started here?
Sure.
Okay. All right, y'all. So we had some weird times with COVID, and in that time, we had a couple of virtual years, and we didn't get to pass off our president's plaque. So we actually have 3 past presidents here today that we'd like to congratulate and thank. So at this time, I'd like to start with Tyler Doobie, our president from last year. So I just wanted to say a couple of words about Tyler. Tyler did a really amazing job leading the branch last year. He did a ton of events that I'm proud to continue this year. One of Tyler's top achievements was our continuing education conference, which he has worked on for many years. He led it to be a fantastic event. We had it at the PDC for the first time this September. It was incredibly successful. We had more attendees, more sponsors than we have in quite a while. So Tyler, thank you so much for leading our branch this past year.
Thank you. The same, Paul, because I realized a little bit too late in my turn as president-elect that you're actually supposed to find these and give them to the outgoing president. So he's had to stare at this plaque for years without his own. So I do feel really bad about that. So I'm here to help organize all of this this year with Kat to make sure you don't go home. And so we do thank you for your service in 2022 and 2023. Long overdue. So everybody call on.
Sam led us through the dark years, some of the worst of COVID. We were trying to do all of these virtual, and I think we started coming back in person during Sam's here, which was that was fun. We had a lot of fun doing that, working on logistics, and Sam kept us going, kept the branch together, got us back together. So thank you, Sam.
Great. Thanks all of that. I will pass it back to Austin.
Thank you, Kat. And thank you, Tyler, Sam, and Paul for coming back today. Appreciate it. Would like to see you here a little bit more often. So first one is our recap of the fall service event.
share the screen with our video. Use this before we get. That's
All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ryan Glenn. I'm serving as the Public Relations Community Service Committee Chair. And what I wanted to do is first off, give a thank you to the volunteers that attended our October service event. We got to go serve out at Community First Village and help out with some gardening, landscaping tasks, and got to see more scorpions in one place than I ever did in my entire life. So got down on our hands and knees, got dirty, and helped make an impact both with the residents as well as with other volunteers there. So it was a gorgeous day. I think we had great turnout and got to give out some volunteering t-shirts to those who attended. And if you're interested in getting your own t-shirt, look towards our upcoming spring event as well, where we'll be giving out some more shirts. And then
You're next on the ASCE donation.
yeah, so next up, I would also like to, as Kat mentioned, talk a little bit about our donation drive that we're kicking off here. And so it's going towards the ASCE Disaster Response Fund, which I think is more important now than ever. I was just listening to the news and hearing about Asheville, North Carolina, finally just got clean drinking water again, I think today. So with these ongoing disasters that we're facing, looking at ways that we can help make an impact in kind of addressing those global disasters. So this is one such way, and as Kat mentioned, up to the first $1,000, we will match donations for. You can find the QR codes on your table here. There's also a page on our website that takes you to the donations. That'll direct you directly to the ASCE Foundation page. And if you type in whenever you're submitting a donation, you can make it in honor of somebody, either a member of an organization. If you put in ASCE Austin branch, that is how we can track it and make that match for your donation. So thanks in advance. Do hope you guys consider making donations towards this wonderful cause. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Ryan. Next up, YMF.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Clint Smith. I'm the president of the Younger Member Forum this year. First off, I want to thank everybody. We had several events this past month. We had our annual joint Younger Member Forum UT tailgate. We had a lot of students there, and we want to thank our sponsor for sponsoring that entire event. The students could have some breakfast tacos. It wasn't 8 a.m. or 11 a.m. game, so it was an 8 a.m. Tailgate. But we still had a great tailgate time with all the students that came out, and had a lot of ASCE members also come and join. We also had a booze and brews where we went to a bar on the east side, and then we some of those members went to House of Torment. That's not for me, but happy for the ones that did go. It was a great time from what I've heard. And then we also just did our creek cleanup in conjunction with the EWRI chapter here in Austin this past Saturday, and we got over 20 bags of trash out of Shoal Creek along the 3 blocks. And there was still a line scooter in the creek when we left. We couldn't get it all out, but it's all buried. So if you have some free time this week, think about just going down to Shoal Creek and get a line scooter out if you need one. We do have a couple of upcoming events, including this upcoming month. We're going to go where we partner with TSPE every year, and a bunch of the other engineering organizations, including SWE, AWWA, and WHEAT. And we go to the Junior League of Austin, and we sort coats there for the Coats for Kids initiative that they have there. So we're going to be there December 9th at 6 p.m. And then we have a lovely save the date for February 17th, our annual happy hour that we do with a bunch of sponsors and a bunch of partner organizations. It's the Monday of E-Week, so be on the lookout for getting an email from me asking if you want to sponsor and contribute some money to that, because we love to see more people. We had 180 people there last year, and so we're trying to grow it to over 200 this year. And I have one more slide, which is announcing our second annual Austin YMF Young Civil Engineer of the Year Award. Last year we started the first ever Young Civil Engineer of the Year Award here in Austin, and this is our second year. Our nominations are going to close in early January, and then that'll be presented at the TSPE banquet. And so if you have any questions, please reach out to our vice president, whose contact information is here, or feel free to talk to me and I can direct you to the right place. And it's also all on our social media. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Sorry, y'all, I forgot I had a phone. So this is something that we did a few years ago. I believe last time we did this government employee grant was in 2018. And effectively, we have some government employers in the Central Texas area who will not reimburse dues, but we really do want those government employees to take part in our organization. So this application due January 17th will actually pay the dues of up to 2 government employees. That's both your Society, Texas section, and Austin branch dues. They're doing a little bit of yard work outside, sounds like. But yeah, I really encourage, if you know anyone, if you work for a government organization that may not reimburse your dues or reimburse your dues for another organization, but wouldn't do so for ASCE, I do encourage you and your coworkers to apply for this, because we would like to get a little bit more involvement from y'all and your colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat. The next one we have is our monthly coffee chats. So I know I've seen a few folks that have attended those. It's a little bit of a different setup. We're out at Mozart's early in the morning, and it's, especially now the sun's rising a little bit earlier, it's really a fantastic place for us to casually talk, network about job changes, anything that you may be going through. It's a little less formal. You can enjoy a coffee on ASCE. The next one is coming up is on December 11th.
Hey everyone, I'm Glenn Goldstein, the Honors Aviation. Similar to Clint's announcement about a younger member, Civil Engineer of the Year Award, we have the same for the Austin branch. This will be our 26th year to honor a civil engineer within the Austin branch. The award nominations are open through the early January, and the award will be presented at TSPE in sync with their February Engineers Week banquet. For this, think about anybody you've worked with, a mentor, a mentee, look right, look left. Please contact me if you have any questions about how this nomination process works, who you could nominate. Can't think of anybody, look towards yourself. I'm happy to provide any guidance. We try to make this process very simple, and we don't want that to be a deterrent to you applying. So please get those nominations in, and look forward to seeing you at the February banquet.
Thanks for including the slide at the last minute. Hey y'all, we have our upcoming queuing blitz in December 2nd. There's 2 days, December 2nd and December 3rd. We're currently looking for volunteers for both days. I want to say that we have about half of the people that we would like, but the volunteers have been steadily signing up. So thank y'all for thanks to all to the folks who are volunteering. It's really fun. We take contests into the 6th grade advisory period for the entire 6th grade. And it's literally a blitz. You walk through the hallway of middle school in between classes in the morning. You have about 45 minutes to run the contest. It's always a blast. Kids are the right age, they get really into it. It's a lot of fun. There'll be coffee and either bagels or some sort of breakfast pastry as well. So look out for those emails to sign up and get in touch with me if you have any questions. Thanks.
Hey everyone, Andrew Nowke here with the Continuing Education Conference. We are going to be hosting another conference in April. This is just a heads up, I'm not going to take a lot of time. The big thing I want you to do is recognize this coming in April. It's a little bit quicker. We usually spread these out every 12 months, but we did last year is a little later in the year, so we're trying to get back on schedule. So April 24th is the date we set. It's at the same location as we held the fall conference, and it went really well. Beautiful new building. It was really nice. The one other thing I want to draw your attention to is the call for speakers. If you do know someone you'd like to present, or you would like to present, please scan that code. Get with me after. I'm going to talk a little slowly, so if you do want to pull out your phone and scan that right now, this is the opportunity to do so. We would like to get a good group of people to pick from. That way we can kind of present something that's interesting to everybody, kind of focus on case studies and projects that are occurring around Austin and Texas. So if you know anyone, send them our way. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. I had a little slide got caught in there, but this does remind me. So Clint came up here and spoke, and he is running the YMF of Austin, but he also just got elected for the society level YMF. So everybody, if you're walking around, congratulate him on that. Next up is I talked about the sponsors of the first. We have meeting sponsors, and for our November meeting, Pape-Dawson has graciously stepped up and sponsored. So I'd like to give them a few minutes to talk about Pape-Dawson.
So we just updated our bundle sponsorship, so we get one of these opportunities to kind of tell you what's going on in our world. Basically going through a growth spurt right now. We just acquired ASCE engineers that so happens to do a lot of aviation work. So we thought this would be a timely time to come and just introduce ourselves as combined Pape-Dawson and KSA engineers. And with us today is one of our PMs at KSA, Grayson Cox. So why don't you tell us kind of about what's going on in your aviation work?
I have 30 minutes. So I'm Grayson. If you don't know me, I'm a project manager with KSA. We're super excited about our partnership with Pape-Dawson. Pape-Dawson did not have aviation as part of their services, and so we're bringing that to a large organization, which is extremely exciting. I am, of course, here not just because of Pape-Dawson, but because of our featured speaker. We are very thrilled to have and continue to work at Austin Bergstrom. It's kind of ridiculous how much is going on at the airport, as we will hear in a few minutes. And we're very proud. I think we have been working for AUS, I think about a decade now, which is a little crazy, but time flies. Unintended when you're busy and having fun like that. Yeah. Just real quick, I mean, our first contract with AUS was as a prime on one of their engineering architecture rotation lists. As anyone who's worked on a rotation list knows that it's a variety of tasks. You're probably managing all sorts of specialty sub-consultants. That's no different for an airport, but it's just off steroids. You have like 2 or 3 times the sub-consultants, but there's so many specialties when it comes to airports. We did a couple of dozen of different assignments, anything from helping to deploy the CT scanners that we're seeing now at Austin Bergstrom, so you don't have to take the laptop out of your bag, to things like the environmental assessment for the current EEP, implementation planning, taxways, all that sort of stuff. It kind of runs the gamut. Our current work that we're doing right now is actually as a sub to the principal architect and engineer contract. And what we've done on that contract is really, really niche airports, technical things like tower line of sight analyses, evaluating overnight parking for aircraft, helping with the GIS for utility-wide campus, and civil design standards, all sorts of unique airport things. And so, as we're excited to hear, there's a whole lot more, there's a whole lot now going on at the airport. I'm very excited to play with it.
Thanks a lot. So that's all we had. I'd like to turn it over to Austin to introduce our speaker.
Thank you, Pape-Dawson. All right. So last but not least, we have our speaker of the day. We have Jennifer Williams with Austin Bergstrom International Airport, where she'll talk about the expansion update. Jennifer has a passion for public service, and she's been working in local government since she graduated from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte with a bachelor's in civil engineering. She began her career in Charlotte's Department of Transportation, reviewing and approving land development plans and planning for transportation needs in the future. An opportunity for the City of Houston led her to implement a transportation safety program with FHWA funding to analyze intersection and roadway collisions. An eager ambition to broaden her career in 2012 led her to Austin as a planning and development project manager for Austin Bergstrom International Airport to support roadway and pavement projects. Since then, she has led critical projects and developed the AUS 2040 master plan development process. She is currently the Officer of Planning and Development, managing a team of architects, engineers, and planners to provide strategic leadership to the planning team and guide design standards development and implementation that will chart the course of our airport for generations to come. Last year, she was recognized by Airport Business Magazine as a top 40 under 40 aviation leader, and recently was selected to join the current cohort of Austin Leadership Essential Program. In her spare time, she is a nonprofit advocate in the community, sitting on boards as treasurer of Junior League Austin, and supports other agencies and programs throughout Central Texas. Aside from her profession and nonprofit career, you'll catch her spending time with her husband, Dane, and 6-year-old son, Cole, doing anything and everything outdoors. They love wake surfing, snowboarding, tennis, and NASCAR Youth Series quarter midget racing. So if everybody could please give her a round of applause and she gets going.
It's Zoom, right?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. Thank y'all. It's always so awkward when they like read everything about yourself. But first of all, y'all come and sort coats at Junior League Boston for Coats for Kids. So I'm currently the treasurer for Junior League this year. I run about a $9 million nonprofit operating budget in my spare time. It's so exciting. And then we'll see all the things I do in my daily job today. So, but y'all come out, see our wonderful building, and host your holiday parties there too. So today we're just going to get into a whole bunch of things about the airport. We'll try and provide some new content for those of you that have seen me on my tour of doing these around the city over the last couple of years, but we've got a lot of progress made. And so we're really excited to be able to share with y'all where we are, challenges that we've run into so far too, which are many. You know, we have to go through the permitting process like everybody else. So yeah, lots of challenges on a $4 billion program. So we'll get into that today. I hope everybody leaves here learning something about aviation that you didn't know about. So history of AUS, for those of you who haven't been in Austin too long, this was an Air Force base previously. So a lot of contaminated soil. So exciting. But we ended up starting and building in 1999 with 25 gates and serving 11 million annual passengers. We added 9 new gates in 2019 and raised that count to 34 gates. That's where we're at today. And that was designed to serve 15 million annual passengers. We finished 2019 at 17.3 million annual passengers, which was the same year we opened the 9-gate expansion. So we were already undersized. The growth rate, from our perspective in Austin, is one of the highest in the country, and it has continued to be that way. I've been there for 12 years. I've known nothing except crazy growth, which is great because it keeps me occupied and I'm not bored, right? So many challenges. A lot of that, so we're on 4,200 acres on campus. Roughly, I would say around 20% of that's non-buildable and in the floodplain for Onion Creek. A lot of people don't know that. So there's specific areas on the 4,200 acres that we don't want to touch, we don't want to get near. A lot of people think they know better than the planning team. planning team. Oh, just put it down on the south side. Yeah, not gonna work. So yeah, we ended up at 22 million passengers in 2023. So that's about a 20% growth from 2019's numbers. So people are like, oh, have you recovered from COVID? I'm like, yes, we did that in July of 2021. So, but there are quite a few airports that still have not recovered from COVID, and their numbers are not back to where they were in 2019. So it's just interesting to see the demand in Austin. People want to be here. They want to travel to Austin. And then obviously you guys all want to fly out and go other places too. So it works for everybody. We have on daily about 240 flights going in and out of the airport. That's just the commercial traffic, so it doesn't count any of the GA. And then the city of Austin, I am an employee of the city of Austin under the aviation department. There's about 600 of us out there. There's about 12,000 employees out at the airport. So about 600 of us are the ones that are really running and operating the airport. The rest of them are tenants, airlines, concessionaires, the rental car companies, all those guys contract with the city of Austin to provide their services out there. So the 6,000 badged employees are the ones that only have access to the terminal. So it's interesting on how some of that works, but so growth numbers, you can kind of see here again, I started in 2012. So it's like right when it just kind of took off. And then you see that down here in 2020. We don't really talk about that one. It was an interesting time. I did get a lot of work done because we had to wear masks. I think we were like the last ones to not have to wear masks because of the federal mandate. And so I would go to the terminal with my mask on. Nobody knew I was doing work and they didn't know who I was, which is great. Now I go over there and they're like, what are you doing in the hold room working? I'm like, I'm trying to get away from you. That's what I'm trying to do. So at 22.1 last year, and then I think these are really interesting facts on the comparison between 2019 prior COVID and where we were at the end of last year. So you're seeing that significant increase in yearly passengers, just weekly seats. So when we say seats, that's how many people can actually fit on the aircraft and how many seats are on the aircraft. So there are some things that the airlines use to really negotiating tactics. They do a lot of things where they compete against each other. And so a lot of them will bring metal to Austin in anticipation of taking out a different carrier for a specific route. A lot of them will say, oh yeah, we're going to bring it. And if we only sell 70% of the seats on the plane, we're okay with that. We'll still make money on it. And so it's interesting to see that's why there's a big difference between the weekly seats and then the yearly passengers and how they aren't exactly the same because the average that we have on a load's probably around 86% right now of aircraft are fully loaded. So yeah, let's see here. We are the airport of choice for Central Texas. You guys can see here is 5 counties around us. That's where most of the people are coming from. And on the international side, it goes a lot wider. So we've got a lot of people that are coming up from San Antonio in the Valley, come up and get those direct flights out of Austin. So we do roughly have a lot of passengers coming from around 21 to 22 counties around Austin. So this is just a big reminder that we aren't just for the city of Austin. We're here for the Central Texas region and really getting all the way down to San Antonio, which is pretty exciting. So when we make these business decisions about the airport, we really have to look at it from that high level perspective of we are connecting Austin to the world and how do we connect the region to the world and not just Austin. So air service highlights, we have a ton of airlines out at the airport. We get new ones pretty often. Our market allows for that. I just wish the capacity of the terminal allowed for more, but we're getting there. So 19 different airlines. We have 90 nonstop destinations. A lot of people are like, well, how come they're not flying to Cabo anymore? It's like, yeah, people don't do that in January. it'll come back in March and it's a seasonal route. So a lot of the airlines look at, hey, is this beneficial from a cost perspective for me? And if they can't fully load those flights, like I mentioned earlier, they'll cut back on the route, but the plane itself will still come to Austin just on a different route or increase on a frequency. So frequency is when you fly, let's say from Austin to New York, they fly 1 time a day. They want to add a frequency. It's flying 2 times a day to the same destination. And all the airlines have totally different business models. They all do things very differently. And so, you know, they are our clients. That's really who we report back to. They pay for a significant amount of the infrastructure that's happening at the airport. And obviously we wouldn't be anywhere if we didn't have the airlines. We wouldn't have an airport. And so it's a big, tough way of looking at, you know, the city's perspective and what that passenger experience is, and does that align with the airlines and what they want to pay for? Y'all, it never aligns. Never aligns. And so we're trying to do a really good job of understanding what the passenger need is while also understanding what the airline needs. And most of them just need more gates at this point. And they really don't care if you wait in a really long TSA line. That's where we come in to make sure we have that capacity. So destinations all over. We're flying to Europe. We're flying to Panama City, Panama now as well. And I can't imagine that there'll be a lot more international flights that'll be coming to Austin as well. Sustainability, there are a lot of different initiatives that airports are trying to do specifically for sustainability. And so it's exciting. ACI, the Airports Council International, does an accreditation. We were the second medium hub airport to actually get accredited for carbon reduction. And so that was really exciting for us to be able to hear. We actually buy all of our power from the wind through Austin Energy. So it comes, you know, we're not really using the one from West Texas, but we're lowering it. We pay that higher fee. ACI is really looking at, one of the challenges is ACI is looking at, like, is that acceptable to be able to offset, or do you guys actually have to do it? And so those are a lot of things that we're starting to really think through when we're doing our plans that you guys will see for the future and what we need to do. Reclaimed water is another hot topic for us and a challenge that's come up in the program. Austin Water is one of great partners. Obviously, we use them for all the water needs out at the airport, but they have this requirement now that if you have a reclaimed water line close proximity to your property, then you have to connect to it. And the exciting part is we have reclaimed on the 4,200 acres. And so they are hardcore counting that as that's on your property. And so we got to connect all the buildings to reclaimed. And so we are working through the challenge of that, obviously. There's a lot of things that are rolling into you guys saw it. I mean, we have about 57,000 passengers going through the terminal on a daily basis. That's roughly the same amount of people that go to the Magic Kingdom in Florida. So we have a significant amount of people going through, and the toilet's being flushed, and it is constant all day long. And so we just have to look at, you know, there are code issues out there, but how can that resonate to an airport? Because obviously nobody thinks about that when they're writing those codes. So we're trying to go through and say what's reasonable for us from a cost perspective, what's reasonable as well. So we're anticipating the arrival departure hall to connect to reclaim, and Concourse B will be reclaim ready, but we won't be able to extend the line because we would have to tear out some infrastructure to get it to Concourse B. And we hadn't planned for that to happen earlier in the program, since it was a lot more recent conversation. So we want to continue with where we're going. We don't want it to become a critical path issue for opening the concourse to the AD hall. So we're trying to say, all right, we'll get the building reclaimed ready, and then we'll come back and do a big plan. So, but we are excited. We do a lot of LEED certified buildings. A lot of the Austin Energy green building is a big component of what we're doing too. So, and we got a lot of solar out there, which is pretty exciting. The other big thing is we work with the airlines to switch over their diesel powered tugs, which is, you know, those little golf cart looking things that take your luggage from the plane up underneath the building, and switching those over to electric ground power units. So we've got a lot of chargers out on the airfield or on the apron for the concourse, and they actually plug those in at night and are charging those. And so we've switched over a lot of them to electric, and a lot of the airlines are on board with that, which is great. So we'll get into the program. One of the big things people always ask is about the funding. Like, how is an airport funded? How does this work? It's kind of funny, the PIO team was like, oh, I'll just put like all 4 of these evenly spaced. I'm like, no, show that we only get 3% grants from FAA. That would be great. Let's provide some transparency here. So airport revenue bonds, those are bonds that the airport actually goes out. We get ourselves. It's not done by downtown. It doesn't go through the city bond process. That's why you don't vote on anything from the airport. We actually have to, all the money that is made at the airport has to stay at an airport. That's a federal rule. So any of our profit or anything can't go back to the general fund for the city. And so we're self-sustaining out there. We have to run it as a business. We have a lot of tenants. The only thing that's fairly similar from a city perspective is the convention center. They've got some tenant agreements that they have too. And so you'll see here, those airport revenue bonds are a significant amount of our capital funding expense and how we generate that. And then just airport generated net revenue as well. We have the airlines. We're not allowed to make any money off the airlines. So at the end of the year, they pay their landing fees, they pay the use of the building. And if we end up spending too much, we pay them back. If they end up not paying us enough, they pay us at the end of the year so that it comes out as an even line. Well, obviously, they're really only paying for the runways, the runway infrastructure, the terminal building. They don't pay for any of our roadways. They don't pay for parking. They don't pay for the operations outside the facility. And so what a significant part of what we call non-airline revenue is parking. So 60% of our revenue is made by y'all parking on campus. Hint, hint. On campus. So if you come out, you know, we love Fast Park. That's great. They give us like 10%, but you know, it's better if you park on airport property. Well, and then to get back, so the 3% for passenger facility charge, that is the dollar value that you see when you book your ticket. It'll be like, oh, here's like $11 at the bottom of your ticket. Well, the airport gets a passenger facility charge. It's 3% of what the ticket cost is. And that is mandated by FAA as well. And then we have to, even though it's specific for our airport, we then have to apply to use those funds. And that process takes about 2 years to get that approved from FAA. So fun times, trying to get funding. It's exciting, just like everybody else around here, right? And then, so the 3% on grants, that is truly FAA for the most part. We don't really get a lot of grant funding anywhere else. We try to not go after too many mobility grants that are more for the roadway side of things. We did collaborate with Project Connect and Anik over on the city side to go for a raise grant that maybe could help with the connectivity of the light rail line out to the airport as a big major mobility project. And that was just more on the planning side. It got denied, but we're going to try again. So it's exciting to be able to partner on those things. Timeline, I started planning this thing, y'all, back in 2016. So I am so excited that we are going into design. I'm on a panel in DC next month, and it's like planning, ... when to put your pencil down. And I'm like, please, I'm ready to put the pencil down. So we did the master plan back in 2017, 2019. We got our environmental assessment approved by FAA. We did a lot of program definition and programming in the last few years, and then excited, we got all of our procurements through council. So for the $4 billion program. So we're committed, we're moving forward now. Now we're trying to dish out these NTPs as fast as we can so we can get these design teams on and get a little more meat on our cost estimates to see what's really going to happen here. Program overview. This just gives you a good idea, especially on the left side of the screen, envision, procurement, design, build, activate, the color coding of kind of where we are with everything in the big major program. So a lot of things have moved into design now, which we're really excited about. NTP on the concourse recently, and had a great kickoff meeting with the Page Ventures team. And then one of the things we're still working on is this temporary hold room facility. So you guys saw the growth chart I showed before. It would be great if we could just shut down the airport and build all of this. That would make my life a lot easier. But obviously we can't. I wish we could be like the convention center, you know, but yeah, we can't. And so we're going to have to build all this stuff around keeping the airport operational. And so how do we do that? That's why there's a lot of phasing involved. Everything is connected from a critical path perspective. It is, you know, everybody is on board. These individual teams are going to have to be working with everyone else to make sure we're not shutting down taxiways, and we can't shut them down because there's no other way to get out of the apron to get to the runways. And so there are a lot of things that go into the progress of how construction will need to happen, as well as just keeping things on the operational side. The other thing too is we're so excited to get the concourse open because we need more gates. Well, for Austin to be able to grow between 2030-ish, when that should happen, from now, we also are running an optimization program. So it's not just this being the bulk of what we need in 2030. How do we get to that and still allow for the airlines to be able to grow, still get you guys more nonstop flights out of Austin? And so to be able to do that, we're really trying to figure out how can we optimize things without having a lot of sunk costs. That's why so much planning has gone into this. You see the midfield cross taxiways. Grayson's team, as he mentioned before, helped us kind of figure out where those needed to sit. And under that principal architect and engineer contract, the planning team really made sure, hey, we've got these midfields going in. This is where they need to sit so that we have a concourse B, which is what we're building today, a concourse C, which aligns with the tower. Then you would have these midfield taxiways and ultimately a concourse D to the south of that. So this is really setting us up for the future and making sure that we're putting things in the right spot. The grade difference for an aircraft that can only travel at 1% grade difference. And so to make sure we've got everything sloping the right way from the existing Barbara Jordan terminal all the way south to those midfields, because it will ultimately be all concrete. You know, how do we make all of that happen? And so we've got finished floor elevations already set for concourse B, concourse C, and we'll start working on D at some point. But we really wanted to make sure that the tunnel alignment was going to work all the way down as well. And so we're really saying, hey, at some point, the size of this airport could serve about 75 million annual passengers. Again, we were at 22 last year. And so that's about the size of DFW. That is what the growth wants to be in Austin over the years, is that San Antonio, Austin corridor and becoming that metroplex. And so we're trying to set ourselves up to be able to handle some of that. So to get into some of these short-term projects, I was mentioning, we've got to be able to continue to have growth and reliability. This is the baggage handling system. A lot of people don't get to see that. This is very nice and shiny. It already does not look like that anymore. It opened at the beginning of August this year, and huge change, so much more reliability. Everybody wants to get their bag at their destination, right? So this is why it's a warranted project and justified. But one of the big things is our processing capability was about 800 bags an hour. Previously, we can get to 4,000 bags an hour with the new system. And the system before was split into two. And so, you know, when you guys come in and you want to figure out which ticket counter you're supposed to go to, and you got Delta on one side, you got American on the other. Well, that's how the baggage system was also set up. And so if your bag was being checked at Southwest It didn't even touch any of the baggage system on the United American side. And so when one side would go down because of reliability issues, we would have to schlep bags to the other side of the concourse and input those in. And as you can imagine, bags going in on, especially on the southwest side, because they have a lot more bags, and just adding all of that capacity over and dumping that on the other side. So now it's all interconnected. You guys haven't really been affected by any of that as a passenger, which is really exciting. We really try to make sure that we have that higher level of service when we're trying to go through some of that as well. Westgate expansion, groundbreaking ceremony we did in August. They've got steel up. They are going. It's so exciting to see. I went up in the tower crane. That was a haul. I was a little out of breath when I got up there, but it was a great view. The West Infill, this is another one where we're trying to optimize and just bring in new security lanes to really add to that. So one of the big things with this is just understanding, hey, we need to really get a lot more security lanes in to be able to handle us to that 2030 timeline, and it ended up cutting costs in the rest of the project and the rest of the programs because we won't be moving security, so it will actually stay in the BJT. International arrivals, for anybody that waits the fun 2 hours coming through on a Lufthansa flight. This will hopefully make your life a little easier too. That baggage carousel you see in the picture will go away. Actually should be gone, I think, at this point. And we're going to be doing some expansion. So actually get your bag. You actually process and then get your bags. So we're going back to the old way that customs used to do it. They thought this was their genius way of fixing everybody's problem of getting your bag first, but then everybody just waits for their bag and then queues. So switching that back. The atrium infill, this will be one of the most critical projects that will have the biggest impact on passengers. As you can imagine, we're filling in the floor over bag claim. And right now it's that top picture. You can see down the bottom pictures are the renderings of what it's going to look like. So we'll get a lot more space for queuing. So if you happen to get stuck in that security line that is outside and down the sidewalk, you'll be queuing inside the building at least like in the future. And then hopefully we'll get those added checkpoint lanes in as well. So that should help us a lot. Midfield taxiways, we've talked about those quite a bit. The new West garage, so we've got a new parking garage that's going in. It's pretty reflective of the blue garage that we have right now. And so it's just going to go in right north of the blue garage that opened in 2019. We're looking at like 7,000 spaces in the garage. A new central utility plant. So they're working on that right now. We got the NTP start design on that. So really excited to get that through. That's definitely on the critical path to getting Concourse B open in the AD hall because our current central utility plant can't handle any more added square footage. So that's definitely a big enabling project for us. And the UICW, I met somebody here earlier. Somebody's working on that project. Yeah. So this is a great one. It is everywhere. All of our utilities are undersized to be able to provide another 20 gates on a concourse, AD hall, and all these other things I'm talking about. And so storm drainage, de-icing ponds, redundant electrical power, us looking at going to primary power at the airport, and kind of running that from the Austin Energy substations. And so this is a ton of work, and this is the biggest thing that will have a lot of conflict on the operations side of keeping the aircraft maneuvering while we're under construction. And the temp hold room facility, I mentioned that earlier. We're just going to be doing a lot of gates out on the maintenance ramp. You'll be bused from the BJT, so new experience. Yay, we'll see. But no, you'll get on a bus, go down to a kind of temporary hold room facility, and then you'll get on the aircraft from down there. But everybody will be coming through the Barbara Jordan terminal, through security and everything up there. You'll park on the north side, so South Terminal will get demolished. Nobody will be going down there anymore. Everybody will be going through the BJT. we'll just have a facility be able to hold you to get onto the aircraft because we don't have that square footage in the current concourse. And then long-term projects, so concourse being the tunnel, I mean, this is the new shiny thing we all want. So trying to build what was 16 gates and was 20 gates, and in the contract we're designing 30. It is an ongoing thing. We are still in negotiations and lease negotiations with all the airlines. So the fun part of the job is anticipating what the airlines will want. And then who knows, they'll change their mind and add more. And as we continue to grow, obviously we're just trying to accommodate as much as we can. But again, we've planned a lot of this out. So Concourse B will actually be a full build around 40 gates out there. So new concessions, got a whole bunch of public art. I just sat on the art panel. Never thought I would do that as a civil engineer, y'all. I'm on an art panel, right? Those do not go together. But the art panel for the tunnel. So excited to see what an artist can bring to life for that experience for passengers going through the tunnel. The arrival departure hall, this is where most of you will be like, yes, finally, we have more ticket counters, more space. We'll be able to check our bags better. You'll have a new curb, new drop-off pickup. People will not be crossing the road. Number one, that's like a non-negotiable for me. So you'll see the bridge. We'll have a pedestrian bridge going across, but we've stacked the roadways in a way where people still have direct access to the building, but they won't be crossing across traffic. And then future light rail. I get asked this question a lot, even though we're not really part of the program anymore. They're going to actually stop at Ben White. You can kind of see where the solid yellow line is, and then the dash line coming to the airport. We are in that expanded phase. They are looking for funding to see if they can extend it out to the airport, but we are still working very collaboratively with them. That new parking garage will be the station for light rail coming to the airport. And so we want to make sure that we're accommodating and understanding what that pedestrian experience is and that journey that the passengers will have coming off the light rail, really getting in with some of our long-term parkers and some of the commercial folks, and then coming over to the AD hall. So still really working on that. I still meet with them on a monthly basis, and we're still partnering on quite a few things. So exciting that is still happening, even though we right now are in a later phase of actual construction on that. And then, ta-da, everybody get your phones out, 12-month procurement schedule. So, the big, bright, shiny things and the $4 billion, most of that is procured at this point. That's not to say this is a 25-year-old airport. We have a lot of maintenance that we're still going to have to do. We still have to maintain the existing infrastructure that we have. And so there are still going to be procurements coming out for the airport to make sure we can continue to do a lot of these things. A lot of the things you're seeing on the screen are different levers that we'll be able to pull so we can execute contracts faster. So looking at a lot of IDIQ contracts for that stuff. And then the on-call planning services will go back out. We'll have another geotech forensics going out as well. And I think the other big one is the integrated baggage handling system. So that was included in the program. And then we realized the baggage system is going all the way from the AD hall all the way up to Concourse B. And so we want somebody that's actually going to look at the system itself and how it interconnects with all those projects. We can't have silos in the program because all of these are going to be relying on each other. Yeah, so I think that's kind of my last slide. You guys have any questions? Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say thank you.
Yeah.
With the airport just being like a high profile piece of infrastructure, I was curious when you engage the public and what that looks like as a process for you guys on the airport side.
Yeah, so I managed a lot of that process back in 2016 through 2018 when we did the master plan. So we went out and got a lot of public input, did a lot of visioning sessions I think we're visioned out at this point. We're like, what moves the needle, right? So we're trying to figure out what's worth going out, getting the input, getting the infrastructure, and just discussing what's happening, what actually moves the needle to get us closer to construction and in place. So it's a great question. There'll still be experiential things that will happen at the airport. Public art has gone out. They're going to do a lot of output, or a lot of input from the community on what they want to see in the terminal as well. And then there'll be a whole concessions project that will end up happening with the actual fit out of the building, right? So we've done a lot of visioning on our side on what we want the concourse speed to look like and feel like, but inside the building hasn't been really figured out yet. So a lot of that will come, and a lot of that's our partners. We won't be doing the fit outs for the concessions. You know, we'll be putting RFPs out for those concessionaires to come in and bid on that stuff, and then ultimately have a great options for lunch, because I mean, I've been there for a while. I'm kind of tired of what we got right now. Yes. Oh, that's a great question. I can't answer that. We don't talk about anything in the future when it comes to air service, because it's a competition issue. So a lot of airlines are looking at surveys, needs. They look at your cell phone data. They're looking at where you're living. They're understanding how your commute is, and they figure out those routes in that way. Have we been working on an Asia flight? Absolutely. We've been working on this for 7 years now and trying to get an Asia flight here, but it's the business community that is going to need to step up to show that it's reasonable. And what the big thing that a lot of people don't understand is you don't just go and buy a new aircraft because there's a new route. They're pulling that metal from a different airport and bringing it to Austin. So they have to have a guarantee that they're going to make more money in Austin than where that metal is currently at. And so a lot of times when we compete for air service, it's not against San Antonio, it's not against Dallas. The BA flight, we were competing against Tokyo for, I think SFO was the other one, and maybe Seattle, but it's very much all over the world. An aircraft can go many places. And so, yes, rolls around with some of that. Yeah.
So you can, that kind of lead into my next question. Like, how much does the aircraft business community get involved with or input on the plans?
Yeah, absolutely. So the chamber has a air task force committee. And so there are folks that sit on that committee, and we have monthly meetings with them on what our plans are. And then the planning team has actually responded to RFPs for companies coming to Austin. So I responded personally to the Amazon headquarter RFQ that had come out years ago. And, you know, they have a lot of requirements about, hey, this is what we want. We want walkability. We want to be able to be within certain distance from the airport. So the whole city team's coming up together to be able to answer some of those RFPs. They are extremely involved, and the chamber's kind of the glue to say, thank you, airport, making sure that we're providing the needs that are there, and that we have, let's say, added cargo capacity for some of these businesses and manufacturing that's coming to Austin, especially on the CHIPS Act side. We're still working with all of that, work with UT on making sure the alignment is there on their progression of what they want to see coming out of UT on the research side, and that the airport can be able to handle all of these new things coming. So we're trying to be on the forefront of knowing what that forecast looks like, not just from a passenger perspective, but be able to get goods and services out of Austin too on the cargo side. Yeah. Yes. Start with one first.
The red legend, is that a typo where it says IFB for cargo lane reconstruction? Is that an RFQ?
No, it's just going to go out for low bid.
But it says it's request for qualification.
Oh, yeah, that's wrong. I think the color looks off because the IDIQ is in yellow too, so I wouldn't go off the colors, but it's definitely
So
the timing.
This is not a professional services contract.
No, we're doing that under the rotation list. the cargo lane reconstruction. So it'd just be going out for a low bid for the construction side. Yeah. And then let's see, what else is there? The integrated baggage system is design build. We're working on the design criteria manual now, so it'll go out for DB in February. And then the reconfigure of the planning and development building, we're doing that through the rotation list, and that'll end up being a low bid going out for construction too. Yes. Yeah.
So the big projects that you talked about, the concourse and the A&D hall.
Yes.
The construction management component, is that the architect who's designing, they will be managing the construction of the project, or will that be a separate contract?
So currently we have staff aug that's managing. We manage the projects in-house. Then we have the design teams and the construction teams, depending on, we've done CMARS for a lot of it. We've got a couple design build contracts executed. So depending on what that is, I guess overall architect engineer that H&TB got was to really program and scope what we wanted so that we can give these design teams an idea and we're not starting from scratch with them. So we have so many requirements in those programming documents that we've handed over to the design teams of, here's the minimum hold room size. We've already figured that out. Here's the fixture count that we need in the concourse. We know all of that already that we've planned. And so we don't want them to spend any time on those non-negotiables. This is what we want out of it. Now you really look at the architectural elements of the concourse and the AD hall. But most of the programming has been set. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
First of all, Jennifer, congratulations, 12 years and seeing all the way to fruition must be great.
Yeah, it is fun.
The terminals, first of all, the question, Barbara Jordan, is it being renamed? And then when is B, C, and D, when are you planning to have those designed and built?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the Barbara Jordan terminal as it is today will end up flipping to Concourse A. So that's why we're all saying we're building Concourse B. Well, it's because the BJT will ultimately be Concourse A. That flip won't actually happen to Concourse A until the next phase of the AEDP. So this is like, we haven't named it, and I say we should because I talk about it all the time on the planning side. It's like AEDP phase 2. And so we're going to be building a new arrival departure hall. That will be the Barbara Jordan terminal because that's ultimately where the passengers actually terminate and start their journey. Then you go into the concourses. And so the BJT will become Concourse A. And then we're building Concourse B somewhere around more than 20 gates. And it will go out to 40 gates. Concourse C can go to 40 gates. That's in line with the tower. And we're anticipating that to be done somewhere around 2045. So not too far out, and which is why we're like trying to set ourselves up for success. A lot of people didn't. Like if you look at, we're setting ourselves up like Denver and Atlanta. You look at Charlotte and their layout or Dulles, it's very just all over the place. And not every airport's designed exactly the same. And it's more because of how much land you had in the beginning and how do you manipulate it. There's only certain places an aircraft can land, which is my justification to permitting downtown. And so, yeah, got to accommodate. Yeah.
Yeah.
One more.
Sorry. 2 years ago, you gave a presentation, and I believe you mentioned something about fuel reserves and how there's limited fuel, and that was a big problem at the time. Have you all figured that one out?
We did. We built a fuel facility, and that was a fun process. And but yes, the fuel reserves there, we built 2 brand new tanks in addition to the facility that we had before. And so we're doing really good on that. And we've actually seen that directly reflect into the aircraft operations. And so we're the #1 divert airport in the United States. So what that means is like when weather comes across and hits Dallas and then it hits Houston, those aircraft come to Austin to wait for that to clear up. And so they'll land here. Well, now we're seeing the large aircraft landing here. So we've seen Korean Air the other day out on the cargo ramp. We've seen, Qantas landing here. There's no way they could have landed here before because we didn't have the fuel. Now we have the fuel, so we're seeing that. The good thing is we get the landing fees from those heavy aircraft landing here. So it's great for us too.
Good questions, everybody, and thank you, Jennifer, for coming out and speaking. Token of appreciation. All right, and then the last little bit we have is what's our today's attendance?
It's 4 people attend in person, 5 online, and 10 on Saturday.
Thank you very much. Last slide is a reminder of next month's December 17th meeting for all of us that need our professional ethics certifications. So December 17th, same room. We'll have the Board of Professional Engineering and Land Surveyors giving their presentation. So thank you all for coming and have a good Thanksgiving.